Welcome to Hella Vela, Eric's first three Vela reviews. I am your host, Eric Eisen, and this is Azriel Lullis. And today we're speaking with Cyrena Shows about Scary Tales of Dark Nights, Volume 2. Um, Cyrena, what would you say the average length of your episodes are?
About probably 800 to 1500 words. So pretty short.
Good. That's pretty much the marker there.
Hmm.
Um, Do you have any other Vela offerings as well? I mean, this is volume 2, so obviously there's a volume 1, but
There is. Yeah, I have several. I started out back last July when it first started. I wrote Summer Lake Heat, which is a like steamy contemporary romance. And that's where I started. And then I did the Scary Tales for Dark Nights Volume 1, which I turned into a book after
okay.
I finished it, and I did for the Summer Lake Heat too. And then so currently I'm doing this one and one called The Crimson Diary, which is an urban fantasy, and also Hate You Most, which is sort of a romantic suspense. So I have 3 current right now.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that takes a lot. I had 3 going at once, and that was bad. I had no time for anything else.
Yeah.
All right. So fair warning to the audience, this may be a little spoilery. For most of these, I do only read the first 3 chapters, so maybe not that spoilery. Could you tell the audience a little bit about this Vela and what drove you to write it?
Well, I wanted to write a story that was creepy and suspenseful. Actually, I thought about the story, the books, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark by Alvin Schwartz. We probably all read that when we were little.
Yeah.
And I love those stories. They really started me on my horror, journey as a reader. And so I wanted to do stories like that, but for an older audience.
Hmm.
So that's where this came about.
Awesome.
And I also wanted to see if short stories would work on Bella. I mean, I'd heard about serial stories, and I didn't really know how to write a serial story. But at the same time that I was writing the romance that I was writing, I started this one because I thought, maybe people will like it on this kind of format.
Yeah. Yeah, some of my stories are also short stories in serial form. So, yeah, I've done all right. So,
And what
um,
about you? How have you done,
yeah.
Serene?
Pretty well. I think my serialized stories do better than short stories, but I enjoy writing these. And the great thing about the short stories is that I can complete one and just kind of put it on the back burner for a little bit and work on other things, and then I come back to it. I mean, I don't feel as pressured as I do to finish a story that's continuous.
Yeah.
True. I wondered how people were responding to the short stories that were self-contained within 600 to 1500 words.
Well, some of mine aren't. It might be, I might have an episode that's a complete story, but then I might have, a story that takes 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 episodes. Just
I
depends.
see. Okay, cool. And is that the case with this one here?
Yes, it is going to be 8 episodes. I have published 7, so I'm on the last one right now, finishing it up. So.
And how many separate stories are told within those 8 episodes?
It's just the one story.
So sorry.
So, for instance, volume 1 of Scary Tales was 25 episodes, but it was only 11 stories.
Okay. And volume 2 is a single story told in 8 episodes.
No, it'll be multiple stories too. I'm just the first one that has been published so far is going to be 8 episodes.
Okay, I see. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, I
Cool.
plan to read more of this. I just didn't want to
Well, I
to
love those kind
muddy
of
the
books
waters.
myself. I
Yeah, me
love
too.
that kind of story myself. Some of the ones I remember most from junior high are
Mhm.
that kind of story. I better
Like scary
start.
stories to tell in the dark.
We're getting off script here, man. I better
Yeah, we are.
be quiet. Wait for you to say something to me.
It's fine. All right. So Meredith or Mari is the main character. Could you talk a little bit about her?
Well, I wanted to write a story that kind of harkens back to the kind of girl that I was as a teenager. So, she's the girl who's from a really small town, nothing to do, kind of really wants to get out of there, but while she's there, she's always seeking adventure and trying to do something that's just exciting because there's nothing happening in that little town. And so that's the kind of girl that she is.
And she finds ghosts and goblins.
Yeah, she finds more than she really bargained for.
Right. All right. Do you have a playlist for writing?
No, I usually my favorite person to listen to is Justin Johnson. He writes, or he does Delta blues, and I like instrumental. So like when I write, I like to listen to instrumental, and I love listening to him. So I'll
Okay.
usually just put on a playlist from YouTube and listen to his stuff while I'm writing.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah, that is cool.
All right, excellent. Now, since this is a review, let's flip this around and have Azriel ask me some questions. This is just going to be questions for me, and then at the end, then I'll start asking you questions again.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Azriel, you're on.
Yeah. Well, all right. Here's the part. Okay, so I like scary stories. So how scary is this? Is it like bloody scary or?
No, it's it's ghosts and demons, basically, from what I gathered. There may be zombies in it. I'm not real sure because that was not established in the first 3, but that sort of thing.
Well, so what was your favorite part of the 3 chapters, episodes, 3 episodes you read?
Actually, it's hard to designate a part really, because it's very flowing. It's like you kind of feel like all 3 chapters is one part, which was made it really easy to get from chapter 1 to episode 1 to episode 3 with no issues.
Cool.
I did that in like, I don't know how long, really quickly. And but yeah, it's pretty much a fun, scary ride. I don't really want to, well, I guess it's the first 3, so I guess I can spoil it. But like close to the end of episode 3, there is they meet what I assume is the big bad, and I just like the way that was explained. I kind of, I could see it in my head, and that always piques my interest.
Right. That's cool. Well, finally you said something. You always tell everybody at the head of these things that it could be spoilery. It's never been spoilery, not once. And now finally you said something that's slightly
I try to
spoilery.
avoid that so they're not.
Yeah. Well, that word spoilery, whatever. Anyway, so it was a fun, scary ride. And what did or didn't work for you?
Actually, I didn't really notice anything that didn't work for me. It was very well written. It was the characters were very real to life, which makes me think that they are actually based on actual people.
Mm.
she smiles. So she's like, yeah, that one's this guy and that one's this guy.
We'll never tell.
Yeah.
Right.
So the writing was good. The character development was on pace, and yeah, I just really didn't notice anything that didn't work. I mean, maybe further into the story, sometimes it'll be like, like some stories I read, it's like the first chapter is awful, but then the next couple chapters are good, and it's like I want to tell them, it's like you have to fix that first chapter if you're gonna get more readers. But anyway. But
We're
I didn't
never
have
going to
that
tell
problem with this
anybody
one.
that on this show.
No.
Never going to happen. Well, all right. So what would be your overall rating for it on a 1 to 5 scale?
I would definitely say it's a 5. It's definitely worth the read. Like I said, I had to stop myself after
You
the
made
end
me
of chapter
chase this
3.
poor woman down. Okay.
I know, I did. But I had to stop myself at chapter 3, and I was hoping we'd get it done like sooner so I could read further, but
well, you're still going to, yeah.
oh yeah, of course. And
well, you've got me hooked now. I'm gonna have to take a look.
oh, it's good.
Well, so
it's good.
All right, on the fun to read meter, 1 to 5. 1 to 5.
1 to 5. Okay, so it's definitely a 5. I had a really good time reading it. Like I said, I just I just originally was just going to read the first chapter, because that's normally what I do whenever I read a new one, is just I read the first chapter, and if I don't like the first chapter, I don't go any further.
Well, that tells us a lot.
so but yeah, I was just like, okay, what's happening next? Okay, what's happening next? Okay, what's happening next?
Tells us this one's a good one. That's what it tells us.
Yeah.
See, he's picky. That's why we have this show. It's
I
like
am picky.
it's like Siskel and Ebert rolled into one. So yes.
I did like the character of Timothy, and I think that's the one that took off with his girlfriend, and they thought he was playing a trick on them.
That'd be Kirk.
How do it?
Kirk, the
Kirk.
little,
Kirk.
the younger
Okay.
brother. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, so I got those mixed up in my head. Yeah, I felt like he was going to. At no time after you mentioned that this was something he would do, was there a time where I was like, okay, where is it going to be? It was just like, it's going to happen. No, I guess not. Okay, it's going to happen. No, oh, okay.
Have you yet told me what this is about?
No, I haven't done a brief summary. I kind of cheated. I just stole her.
You stole her blurb?
I stole her blurb. I did.
Oh wow! What a takedown. Okay.
I mean, it's
Let's have it.
I give a summary throughout the thing. So, all right. So, it's just ready for more creepy tales. For the Darkest of Nights, Volume 2 offers up terrifying tales of macabre ghosts that cannot rest, trips that have gone horribly wrong, houses that creak and groan, and maybe even a horrifying clown or two. Pull the covers close, make sure your flashlight is nearby, and no hanging a foot off the side of the bed.
Could lose that sucker.
All right. Are you ready now? Then let's start. Yeah, and that was it. It was good.
Okay. So
that
do you
pulled
have
me
a
into.
sense of what this 8-episode short story within the thing is about? Within the anthology. That was the word.
No, not yet. It seemed like chapter 4 was going to start explaining stuff. Like chapter 3 was just kind of like, well, the first 3 chapters were basically just a tease. It felt like, and then it's like, and now open up behind the curtain. Oh, the chapter's over.
That's what keeps you turning the page.
It is.
That's wonderful. Okay, so you don't yet have a sense. Will you tell us a little bit about the 8-episode story? Just a little bit about the first one. Since he uses this word spoilery, come on.
So you want me to tell you about it?
I do. I want you to
Okay.
tell me about that first short story. What is it about? A little bit.
Well, okay, so some teenagers go out to this old cemetery, and there's a church that's not used anymore. And they're really just there to mess around, because they're bored.
Right.
But Timothy gets the girl off in the graveyard because he kind of has a crush on her, and that he wants some alone time with her,
Yeah.
and she falls into a graveyard. I mean, into a I
An
mean,
open
an
grave.
actual, yeah. She and something comes out, and she sees it,
Oh, wow. Okay. Okay.
and then it progresses from there.
So very good. Very good. There are a lot of those abandoned churches
Hmm.
all over the place, actually, not just back
Oh
south.
yeah,
That sounds
Yeah.
creepy.
yeah. We definitely spent a lot of time in places like that when I was a teenager. So.
Yeah, I grew up in a small town. We had like the main street drag,
Yeah.
just drive the main drag. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
I've lived
Home.
in small towns, but I've mostly lived in cities. Mostly
Yeah.
grew up in cities. But yeah. So I
Yes.
know a little bit about the main drag thing. Like, yeah, it's
And then when everybody goes home and there's nobody riding around anymore, you have to go find something to do. So.
That's right.
right.
So yes, there are all kinds of mischiefs to get into out in them piney woods.
That's right.
All right. So now it's the random QA portion. You can ask me any 2 questions about my thoughts on your Vela or anything in general.
Okay. So I'm prepared for this. So horror has morphed over the years, and modern audiences tend to be more about the gory, the extreme torture and depravity. Especially like if you think about how Halloween, John Carpenter's versus Rob Zombie's, how it's changed over the years. It seems like modern horror readers like the more gory. So, do you think that there's still a place for just the suspenseful, creepy, not so much gore and gross, but just that that tension building creep factor, that kind of horror?
Well, that's actually the kind of horror that I like. So I really hope so. I mean, I have my own series that, is just constantly raising the suspense each episode, and it's I hope so. I hope so, because that's the stuff I like. I would really hate for it to become like just the body horror. I mean, the body horror stuff isn't bad.
Mhm.
It's just I feel that is coming to a point that's starting to peak out, and it's gonna decrease, and people are gonna want something else to scare them.
Right. I mean, I hear in groups, people talk about, well, I'm so desensitized, nothing scares me anymore, and so I think you're right. Like, I think they've gotten to the point where it's gotten so gory that they need something else to, I don't know, pull them
Cleanse their
back
palate.
into the, yeah,
I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the writer's job too. I mean, if you can put someone into that situation, if you can put someone in that dark closet, that close space, with somebody breathing on the other side and just a door between you with, they're going to get in and you can hear them breathing and whatnot. And if you can put the reader in that situation where they're feeling it, then yeah, you can do creep horror all day long. I posted something the other day that Peter Straub died, and he was a master of it. There's a movie called Ghost Story that I just absolutely love. It had Randolph C. Scott in it, and it was one of Peter Straub's
I think I've seen
tales.
that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so creepy. And it doesn't have to, there's really nothing. I mean, you see like a dead body. Okay. but there, and you see some ghosts, right? But you don't, there's no, it's not Saw, nobody had to lose their arm or their head or their entrails or, you know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get eyebrows carved with a Black and Decker drill, none of that. And so I like that kind of horror. I don't think you have to bring all of the blood and guts into it. In fact, I think that really is kind of cheap. It's as a device.
I've only watched the first 2 Saw movies, so
Yeah, that's as far as I got as well. Yeah.
I just was like, all right, this is.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
Although the Final Destination movies, I did watch all 5 of those. So
Well, there's stuff you can't unsee that stuff after you've seen it.
no, you can't.
And
Definitely
I'm
not.
just not going to buy into pornographic violence. So I love your type of horror. So if and I do think that there's room for it with the young audiences and stuff too. It's
Agreed.
more real.
Yeah. All right. So you have another question? Sorry, that was a really long answer from both of us.
Fine. Okay, so for volume 1, I started out 3 separate episodes that were 3 separate stories.
Mhm.
And then, this one is a continuous story over 8 episodes starting out. So, which do you think is a better strategy for Vela writers when they're going to do short stories? Give them an offering of different types of stories, or give them something that they can kind of binge for a little while?
I've noticed, and this, of course, isn't all Vela readers, but I have noticed Vela readers, they like short, sweet, something they can read on a a 15-minute work break. And it doesn't seem to matter if it's short stories, like if each one's a short story or if it's a continuous story, as long as they can get that chapter finished in that 15 minutes, they're more likely to read it. So I don't think it really matters if it's a longer story or a short story per chapter. I could be wrong. I mean, feel free to tell me I'm wrong. I'm perfectly okay with that. But
I mean, I'm not sure. I've done it
feel.
both ways. I just don't, I don't know. It was kind of an experiment to do it both ways, actually.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the episode length limit that people are willing to read, that sweet spot we were talking about between 8 and 1,500 words,
Mhm.
that's difficult to serve up a quality story within that limitation.
Right.
So I think personally that it's just fine to have a short story that's broken up into several episodes. I almost equate the short episodes with like a page and a half of text in a book, and when I'm reading a short story, I always page forward and see how long it's going to take me to finish
Me too.
finish the book, the story. And I do the same with Vela. So I would go, oh, if this is a story within an anthology of stories, then I want to know how many episodes before I'm done. And so it would just be the same sort of feeling, I think, when you're reading along in a book. So I don't think it would hurt you at all to break the stories up. I'd be interested to know what you find, though, since you did do it both ways.
Right.
Yeah. I'd be interested in those analytics as well. All right. I mean, if you have another question, and I'm just going to throw this out there since you were prepared, so I'm trying to throw out something that you weren't prepared for. I'd be willing to answer another question.
Well, I did actually write another one. I sound prepared. So as far as this story is concerned, do you think I give too little backstory, too much, just enough to make them realistic and believable? I think you kind of talked about that a little bit.
I think having lived in small towns, that I might not be qualified to answer that because, I did know a person like Meredith. I did know a person like uh, Timothy. I did know a person um, like my
Kirk.
brain, Kirk. Thank you. I don't know why I keep forgetting his name. And, I did know people like this. So I didn't really need a backstory because they were already familiar to me, you
Mhm.
know. So that made it not I didn't really need a backstory because I already knew them. And I feel that a lot of people already know these people.
Right.
So any huge backstory is going to be more than they really need.
Mhm. I think there's a fine line, that you have to figure out because with the first volume, I heard different readers, you know, they gave me feedback as far as, some said there's too many details as far as, backstory. Then some would be like, there's not enough. I need more of a story here, So, um, it's something to think about when you're writing short stories because it is hard to determine, how much backstory is needed for people to really feel like they're in the story with those people and know those characters and can, feel their fear.
My personal rule of thumb, and I'm not the greatest writer in the world, I personally admit that, but um, just put backstory when it's needed. I mean, don't like throw it on them, but I'm trying to think of how to explain this the best. But like if the story doesn't require it, there's no reason to have it,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
But how did you feel about the backstory that she gave you in the first 3 episodes? Is what she's asking.
Well,
Good enough?
no, I do think it was enough. But like I said, that is for me because I know I knew these people, so automatically I connected the people that I knew to these people, and that became their backstory.
Maybe
And
everybody can do that, to a certain degree.
yeah, and you'll always have people that go, oh well, that's not enough. I didn't have enough. And then you'll have other people and it'll be the same exact amount, and you'll have other people be like, wow, why did you spend so much time on this reading the same chapter?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you gotta figure out what type of person you want your audience to be. I personally thought you skated the line between not enough and too much. So yeah. So I think you did fine.
Okay.
But that's just the type of reader I am. I don't need a lot of explanation of what, I don't need to know that well, no, that's not true. I was gonna say I don't need to know that a character has freckles, but yeah, I kind of want to know that. But like, I'm trying to think. I don't need to know that Susie wore a blue dress and she happened to be wearing green shoes with the blue dress because well, yeah, actually, I kind of do need to know that too.
Gosh, you're blowing your own examples.
I am. I'm
No.
trying to think of a good example.
Yeah, I think it's a difficult balance to reach, and
It is.
in short storytelling, man, that's a lot harder than writing a novel.
Yeah.
Novels are very forgiving. Short stories are not.
They're not.
Yeah. I haven't tried my hand at one for years.
I recently wrote a short story where I explained nothing about, I said it was two kids that they were playing. I didn't give any description of what the kids looked like. No, I guess I did say one was blonde and one was dark haired, but that was it. I didn't give heights. I didn't tell them what they were wearing. I just kind of expected the reader to fill it in. So that's what I did.
Right. And essentially, that's what I did with these characters. I mean, I didn't mention anything they were wearing. I didn't mention what they look like. Really, I mean, you as a reader, you just fill that in when you think about these people that are like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
cool.
All right. Okay, so now all of her Velas will be linked in the
Description.
description below. Thank you. I wanted to call it a doobly-doo because I recently watched Hank Green, but if you want more from me, I do have 7 offerings now. Yes, and you can find all of those on Linktree /Airik Eisen. And
We'll put a link in there. Don't tell them to go. Just click on it. Click on it.
I do write mostly horror. So yeah. Anyway, all right. And Azrael, did you want to talk about your books at all?
No.
All right.
No. No, that's not what this is about. This is not about that at all.
All right. Well, if that is everything, then I guess we should end it.
I think so. And I think that
thank you. And also thank you for coming, Cyrena. That was really awesome for you to come and
exactly. We'll have all Cyrena's stuff linked there, including where you can follow her author page and so forth. Whatever she's got set up, whatever she sends us links for, we're going to stick it in that description so that you can go out and get to know this great new author. And remember, Kindle Vella, that's where you find the fresh new stories. That's where the fresh new voices are. That's where you need to come to read, right?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.